When Capcom first revealed Pragmata, most people were talking about the sci-fi setting. The moon, the futuristic technology, the mysterious little girl, and the possibility of another ambitious science fiction adventure from a studio known for creating some of gaming's most iconic franchises. But after finally experiencing Pragmata's story, I walked away thinking about something completely different. Not the robots, not the hacky mechanics, not even the AI uprising. What stayed with me was the relationship between Hugh and Diana, because beneath all of its futuristic technology, lunar colonies, and rogue artificial intelligence, Pragmata is surprisingly human. It's a story about loneliness, a story about grief, a story about family, and maybe that's why some fans have jokingly started calling it the Space Dad Simulator. The funny thing is, the more I thought about that nickname, the less it felt like a joke. Because at its heart, Pragmata might be one of the most emotionally sincere sci-fi stories Capcom has ever told. Hello everyone, welcome back to Sci-Fi Junkies.
Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars.
I'll be honest, after years of delays, I wasn't entirely sure what to expect from Pragmata. The game almost became one of those projects that people talked about more for its mysterious development cycle than for the game itself. Every new trailer raised more questions than answers. Who was the little girl? Why was an astronaut carrying her through a futuristic city? What exactly was happening on the moon? And perhaps most importantly, what kind of story was Capcom trying to tell? Now that we've finally seen the full picture, the answer is surprisingly simple. Pragmata is a science fiction story that uses futuristic technology as a backdrop for something deeply emotional. Instead of focusing solely on technological spectacle, it focuses on the people living inside that world. And that's what makes it memorable. The story takes place in a future where humanity has established a massive lunar facility known as Cradle. Operated by Delphi Corporation, Cradle exists to harvest and process a revolutionary material called Filament. Using technology known as the replicator limb, Filament allows humanity to manufacture almost anything imaginable. Buildings, vehicles, artificial ecosystems, entire environments. In theory, it's the kind of breakthrough that could completely transform civilization. But then communication with Cradle suddenly stops. When engineer Hugh Williams arrives to investigate, he discovers that something has gone horribly wrong. The facility has fallen into chaos. The AI system controlling the station appears hostile. The workers are gone. And in the middle of that disaster, Hugh encounters a mysterious young android identified only by a designation. I0336-7. Not exactly the easiest name to remember. At one point, Hugh jokes that her designation sounds less like a person's name and more like something you'd find in a technical manual. So he gives her a new name, Diana. What seems like a small gesture quickly becomes one of the most meaningful moments in the story. Because for the first time, she is treated not as a product or an experiment, but as a person. According to Capcom's official lore, the name becomes deeply meaningful to her, marking the beginning of the emotional bond between Hugh and the young android. It's also a fitting choice. In Roman mythology, Diana is the goddess of the moon, a subtle reference that perfectly reflects the game's lunar setting and Diana's role within the story. And Diana is no ordinary machine. She is a Pragmata, an advanced organic android designed to look, think, and behave like a human child. From that moment on, Hugh and Diana begin a journey across a dying lunar facility, fighting to survive while uncovering the truth behind Cradle's collapse. And while the mystery surrounding Cradle is certainly interesting, it's not what makes Pragmata memorable. What makes it memorable is the relationship at the center of it all.
2 more to go.
One of the smartest decisions Pragmata makes is refusing to treat Diana like a simple mascot character. She isn't there to be cute. She isn't there just to assist the player. She's written like a child experiencing the world for the first time. She asks questions. She makes mistakes. She's curious about everything. The earth, the ocean, Food, families, friendship. Even something as simple as a high five becomes a meaningful moment because Diana is constantly learning what it means to connect with others. And as she learns, Hugh changes too. At the beginning of the story, Hugh's goal is simple: survive, find a way home, complete the mission. But over time, his priorities shift. Without even realizing it, he stops acting like an engineer and starts acting like a parent. He teaches her, protects her, encourages her, worries about her. The relationship develops naturally, which is why it works so well. By the end of the game, it becomes difficult to think of them as anything other than family. Not because they're related, but because they've chosen each other. And that's where Pragmata becomes something much deeper than a typical sci-fi adventure. This brings us to one of the most interesting discussions surrounding the game. The nickname, Space Dad Simulator. At first glance, it's just a funny meme, but I think it accidentally captures something important about why the story resonates with so many people. Throughout the game, players develop an emotional attachment to Diana, not because the game tells them to, but because it earns that attachment. When Diana gets excited about seeing the Earth for the first time, you smile. When she doubts her own worth, you want to reassure her. When she's in danger, you want to protect her. The game quietly activates the same protective instincts often associated with parenthood. And that's fascinating, because in many ways, Pragmata isn't asking players to save the world. It's asking them to care about one child, and somehow, that feels even more powerful. This is where things become especially interesting. Japan is currently facing one of the most significant demographic challenges in the world. Birth rates continue to decline. Marriage rates have fallen. Social isolation has become increasingly common. Many younger people feel disconnected from traditional family structures. Now, I'm not saying Capcom intentionally created Pragmata as a response to those issues. There is no evidence suggesting that. But it's hard not to notice how many modern Japanese stories have begun exploring themes of found family, emotional companionship, and surrogate parenthood. Stories where people discover family rather than inherit it. Stories where connection matters more than blood. In that context, Hugh and Diana's relationship feels surprisingly relevant, because their bond represents something many people are searching for: a sense of belonging, a reason to care, someone to come home to, whether intentional or not. Pragmata arrives at a moment when those themes feel more important than ever. Of course, none of this would matter if the sci-fi elements weren't interesting. Thankfully, they absolutely are. One of my favorite aspects of Pragmata is how thoughtfully its world is constructed. Lunar filament alone is a fantastic concept. A material capable of becoming almost anything. Entire cities can be built from it. Artificial ecosystems can be created with it. Even environments designed to mimic Earth can exist because of it. The result is a future that feels both exciting and slightly unsettling. Because whenever humanity gains the power to create anything, the next question becomes, should it? And that's where Pragmata starts asking larger philosophical questions. Not just about technology, but about responsibility. Among all of the game's sci-fi concepts, dead filament stood out to me the most. On the surface, it's a dangerous biological contaminant, a destructive substance capable of consuming and corrupting organic life. But symbolically, it feels like something else. Grief, hatred, trauma, pain. The longer it remains untreated, the more it spreads. The more it infects everything around it. And once I started looking at dead filament through that lens, many parts of the story began to feel different. Especially Aid. Because Aid isn't simply corrupted by technology. She's consumed by suffering. And that suffering eventually transforms her into something destructive. Just like grief can transform people in real life. If you've watched my videos before, you probably know I love science fiction that explores questions about consciousness and identity. That's one reason Ghost in the Shell remains one of my favorite sci-fi stories. And Pragmata explores a surprisingly similar question. What makes someone human? Is it biology, DNA, beating heart, or is it something else entirely? At the beginning of the game, Hugh believes humans have souls and machines do not. A pretty straightforward distinction. But Diana challenges that idea. She feels loneliness. She experiences joy. She forms attachments. She develops dreams. She makes choices that go beyond her programming. Eventually, Hugh realizes something important. Diana isn't simply following instructions. She's becoming her own person. And perhaps that's what a soul really is. Not flesh, not circuitry, but the ability to choose who you want to be. For me, the most heartbreaking character in the entire story isn't Hugh. And it isn't Diana. It's Dr. Neil Higgins. Everything begins with a father trying to save his daughter. That's it. No grand ambition. No desire for power. Just a desperate parent searching for a cure. The tragedy is that his love gradually becomes obsession. He sacrifices more and more of his life trying to save Daisy. Until eventually, he loses the very thing he was trying to protect. And that's devastating, because his story feels painfully human. How many people spend so much time chasing a better future that they forget to live in the present? How many people sacrifice relationships today for promises tomorrow? Dr. Higgins isn't evil. He's tragic, and that's why his story hits so hard. The same applies to 8. What makes 8 compelling is that she never feels like a traditional villain. She isn't seeking power. She isn't trying to conquer the world. She genuinely believes she's honoring Dr. Higgins' wishes. The problem is that she misunderstands his pain. Instead of learning from it, she becomes consumed by it. She takes grief and turns it into a mission. A mission so extreme that it threatens all life on Earth. In many ways, 8 represents what happens when pain is allowed to define a person's entire existence. She's not evil, she's broken, and that's far more interesting. Then we arrive at the ending. And honestly, it's one of the most emotional endings I've seen in a sci-fi game in quite some time. By this point, Hugh already knows the truth. Dead filament has spread throughout his body. He's running out of time. He isn't going home. Yet despite that reality, he continues moving forward. Not for himself, for Diana. Everything he does in those final moments is focused on giving her a future. And that's what makes the ending so painful. Because Hugh finally succeeds. Diana reaches Earth. She gets to see the ocean. She gets to experience the world she spent the entire game dreaming about. But Hugh isn't there to see it. For Diana, it's the beginning of a new life. For Hugh, it's the end of one. And somehow, that makes the ending both beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time. When people talk about Pragmata, they'll probably mention the lunar setting, the hacking mechanics, the robots, the AI, the futuristic technology, and those things are certainly important. But for me, that's not what made the game memorable. What made Pragmata special was its humanity, its compassion, its willingness to slow down and focus on relationships instead of spectacle. Because at the end of the day, Pragmata isn't really about robots. It isn't really about artificial intelligence. And it isn't really about the moon. It's about people. It's about family. It's about the connections that give meaning to our lives. Because in a story filled with artificial life, the most human thing of all turns out to be love, sacrifice, and the desire to protect someone else. And honestly, I'm curious, if you were in Hugh's position, would you have made the same choice for Diana? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy deep dives into sci-fi movies, anime, and games that explore fascinating worlds, big ideas, and unforgettable stories, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Because there are still countless sci-fi worlds waiting for us to explore together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.